Good afternoon, class. There's a book from a teacher that was teaching in my district and now teaches teachers and does motivational things and writes books. The book is called Teaching from the Back of the Classroom. Anyone have an idea of what that might be about, that book, or what it might contain? Yes?
Having your students do the work and teach themselves.
Exactly. So that brings me to my first concept of the classroom that I want to have in 5 years, which is student-centered. You have a circle of engaged, active students, and what is at the center? More students. It doesn't mean that I'm absent from the class, but that I'm more of a guide or facilitator, and also an expert, if I can be, but also in collaboration with them in the community of learners that I hope to have. So for me, student-centered learning more than authoritarian teacher-centered learning. I also, in balance to that kind of active, engaging class that I hope to have, what do you think these pictures might mean? There's two girls sitting out on the grass talking. Here's a girl smelling some lavender. What might they suggest? When?
Outdoor education?
That is also important to me. I think we can think better and learn better, and all the statistics prove it. And I recommend that you read Last Child in the Woods, Nature Deficit Disorder. It's about that, and the correlation between learning and being outdoors. But also, what else might this suggest? Anyone else, Chris? A time, say, after engaging in activity and kinesthetic. Collaborative learning, good. Anything else?
Well, where you've got the smelling there, you're using more senses.
That's
We're
great.
not just visual, audio.
That's great, and that was one of my points also, which is I want to include differentiated instruction to meet the different learning styles in my classroom, to meet the different levels, and that's why I have ABC. Some kids will be working on reading skills in high school, some will be ready for much ado about nothing. So you hit that one. And there's one more that this suggests to me, which is a time for reflection, a time for integration of what they're learning. So in a very dynamic classroom, I still think we need journal writing that Matt talked to me about at the break, a way to integrate what they've learned, reflection that Dixie's taught us so well. So that's part of my classroom. What do you think these books are about?
Reading.
Reading, exactly. I want my classroom lined with books. I have read, and you probably have too in the reading class if you took it, that there's a huge correlation between just having lots of books in the classroom and kids reading better and more. What does this monkey painting suggest to you? And again, there are no right or wrong answers here, class. So what do you think?
Exploration.
Yeah. Good.
Trying something new.
Trying something new. It's about the process. I want my classroom to be about teaching the love of learning, even more important to me than teaching content. Content's important, but if we don't, our kids leave without a love of learning and an understanding that learning is a process that is sometimes messy and it's not as much about the product as the process, then I'll feel good as a teacher. And this is a picture of, it's very hard to see, so I'll just tell you what it is. Medieval knights on horses with flags. And this is just to remind me of one of my favorite teachers that I observed at middle school, not in English or French, she was social studies, but everything was done through drama, through taking parts, taking roles, and the kids loved it, they ate it up. So this is to remind me, just think outside the box, don't be a boring English teacher assigning a page, just get them up there acting, get them up there wearing costumes and thinking of creative ways to do their projects. My quotes. I actually have two quotes. I just dove into my Parker Palmer book. Has anyone read that? I know some of you probably couldn't stand it. Is there anyone here who actually got something out of it? Something positive? Thank you, Kim. So did I. One of them is a bit long, but bear with me. It has to do with that chapter on the culture of fear that's in a lot of our classes and institutions. It's very divisive. It's all about competition. We fear the other teachers. Are we good enough? We fear the students. Are they listening? Do they like us? The students fear each other, all of that. Each time I walk into a classroom, I can choose the place within myself from which my teaching will come, just as I can choose the place within my students toward which my teaching will be aimed. I can teach from curiosity or hope or empathy or honesty, places that are as real within me as are my fears. I can have fear, but I need not be fear, if I'm willing to stand someplace else in my inner landscape. For me, it's just important to acknowledge my fears about teaching, but also to remember that there are many other feelings that I have, and teach from there, and teach to that in my students and see the best in them. The last one is every good teacher and every good parent has somehow learned to negotiate the paradox of freedom and discipline. I like that one. And that's it.